Check it out. We don't even need to overthrow the government because the government is about to collapse anyways. If you talk to any guys that are in the military in the 80s, they would have this contingency plan that if dollars ever got decoupled from oil, that it would be a martial law level calamity. And that martial law level calamity is about to be happening now for many reasons, not just for the dollars and the oil. So let's go through this. Banking reset coming in hot. This is the storm. When we talk about the storm, this is the storm that we're talking about. Essentially, our system is ending. There's a gigantic, multiple set of cataclysms inbound. I have one meteor here on the website, but really it's like multiple meteors. All of the suits, the experts are lying or they're unaware, and bailouts won't work. It's going to be way too big. So, brace for impact, everyone. So we got some severe economic turbulence ahead. The number one thing, the biggest thing, right? We've had a lot of these issues, a lot of these cataclysms before. There's one cataclysm that we have not had before. And that is a massive $100 trillion black swan event coming out of the Bank of International Settlements. For those of you who don't know, the Bank of International Settlements is like the central bank of central banks. So like the Fed, Bank of England, all this stuff over there, the Bank of International Settlements sits on top of them. And so there's this massive, nice little nuclear bomb here. We have this nice custom graphic to help convey this sentiment here. But essentially, there's $100 trillion, and you can look this up. The Bank of International Settlements said this last year. They kind of snuck it in their benign little Fed speak language into one of their reports. But there is this $100 trillion black swan event, aka nuclear bomb, about to go off in the heart of the banking system, made up of toxic derivatives and FX swaps. We'll get into that in a second, but it's all dollar denominated, So we are teetering on the brink here of a crisis about 10,000 times the size of the housing crisis in 2008. Yeah, crazy, right? So we made this nice little graphic just to show you. $100 trillion is like all the stock markets and all of the bond markets on all of the earth, right? It's that huge. It's pretty crazy. We have this little bomb about to go off. The things that could trigger it are several things. One, a sharp increase in interest rates. Two, a sharp decline in asset prices. And three, a sudden loss of confidence in the financial system. All of which are in the process of happening now. First thing, sharp interest rate increases. Those have been happening last year. And when the Fed does that, when the Fed sharply raises interest rates, it makes a lot of the bonds go underwater that a lot of the regional banks hold. And so some regional banks have already collapsed. Many more are in the works here. So if you guys remember, Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank, they both already failed. And this is a huge problem because we have this thing called FDIC, where it's like an insurance from the government that is supposed to help us out if banks fail, to make us whole again. But check it out. That insurance is like not even close to big enough to be covering our asses here. So, big trouble, big problem. The next thing is this commercial real estate bubble. After COVID, a lot of people left the offices and never returned. And so that has caused huge vacancies in the commercial real estate market. That plays into this banking thing here because 80% of the commercial real estate loans are held by regional banks. So we got the real estate market, we got a bunch of banks folding. Third thing is this global de-dollarization. So as we continue our out-of-control spending, as we continue alienating the entire world with our shameless imperialism in Ukraine and a bunch of other places, a lot of people, a lot of other countries, they're getting fed up with the United States-led world order. And many of them, dozens of them in fact, are going over and they're joining this other competing world order called BRICS. That stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. And essentially they're creating this whole new thing. So the World Bank, they have this thing called the New Development Bank. They're putting together a whole new set of institutions here. And the reason this is a problem for us, as a lot of countries go over there, is that they are de-dollarizing. We have this thing in the United States called petrodollar. What that is essentially after World War II, everyone else was pretty much destroyed. We were the biggest, baddest dogs on the block. So we went around and we shook everybody down into using our currency to make all their huge national purchases, primarily oil, natural resources, things like that. So for many decades, pretty much every country has bought and sold their oil in dollars. And what that does is that props up the value of our money. So if you think about it, dollars are based on nothing, thin air, kind of like cryptocurrency. It's just based on who's confident in it and how many people use it. So what we've done is this neat little trick here, where as we force all these other countries to use it, and as we print and print and print money, the fact that a lot of people use it keeps the value high. In other countries, if they would just print as much money as we did, they would have this crazy hyperinflation. But since everybody else in the world has been using it, it's enabled us to do this crazy spending without having extreme hyperinflation. So those three things combined, all of those factors essentially equal the end of our economic/financial system as we know it. Which sounds pretty scary, but it's actually going to be a good thing. This thing needs to end. It's just about how we deal with it. I tell people, like, there's a reset coming either way. We hear about the World Economic Forum. They want their great reset, which is like essentially a centralized reset. Oh no, everything failed. Can't trust you guys with democracy anymore because, you picked these people and they made bad decisions and everything's screwed. So tell you what, we got to centralize the government into one world power, and that's that. So if we have our eye on the ball, we can make it a decentralized reset instead of a centralized reset, which is exactly what we need. This is from Warren Buffett. Derivatives are financial weapons of mass destruction. So that's like one of the richest people in the world observing that the things from this massive nuclear bomb here are very toxic, and it's ridiculous that the banks are doing these things in the first place. So nothing can stop what's coming, right? This system is going to topple. You could literally make me king of the world. You could go get all of the smartest, most intelligent, most strategic people ever, and there's nothing at this point that they could do to stop this from collapsing. Like, this is happening either way. So what do we need to do? We need to accept the economic enema here. And I know that sounds painful. It probably will be painful, at least in the temporary term. But it's going to allow us to get rid of this government and to reposition ourselves much better for the future here. We got to refuse bailouts. A lot of times when banks start failing, our government likes to throw money at them. They'll let a bunch of people be homeless in the streets, but those bankers, they don't want to let them fail. But check this out. No matter how much money they throw at these guys, it's not going to be able to save the system. All it's going to do is cause more and more and more hyperinflation and screw over all the rest of us. So we need to be very insistent. No matter what kind of lies these people tell us, no matter what they say of how we need to do to fix this, we should not be bailing out any more banks. Next, we need to declare bankruptcy as a country. And a lot of people are like, oh, wait, what? You can't do that. That would be an economic calamity, right? That would, destabilize everything. And the truth is, a lot of countries are going to be destabilized by this because the big old nuclear bomb in the middle of the banking system isn't just in our banking system. It's in the one that's connected to everybody. So everybody's screwed. And so it's a unique opportunity for us all to be like, okay, we need to declare bankruptcy. We need to shed some of this debt. A lot of countries, like when we sell bonds, when China sells bonds, right, the countries, they all buy each other's debt, and a lot of it is just this funny paper money. So we need to make deals with all the other countries. All right, we're all declaring bankruptcy. We're all canceling each other's debt out to the degree possible. We need to do that so that we can emerge as a new country here on a solid financial footing, so that we can discharge this debt and only be paying for things that we actually need into the future. Again, this sounds pretty scary, right? But if you're my age, this is going to be the only way that we're going to be able to have like sound financial system ever again in our life. If we don't do this, if we don't declare bankruptcy and discharge a lot of this debt, then we're all going to be stuck paying this off for the rest of our lives. And we got almost $1 trillion interest payment right now. So I tell everybody my age, do we really want to be paying the price for all these dumbass dinosaurs corruption here? I think we do not.